Hello and welcome back to the Football Snapshot. I'm Lewis Nolan and I'm previewing Liverpool's game against PSG in the Champions League because, as much as I don't want to do it, Liverpool do have a game to play, so it's probably important to discuss this. And I want to go through the team that Liverpool might play. We already know some team news already. We already know that Alisson's going to be out until pretty much close to the end of the season. So we know that Mamardashvili is going to be in goal, and there's a couple of things to note there. He is not a bad goalkeeper. I've seen discourse online. I've seen people talk about. I've basically seen people say that, oh, he throws the ball into his net. No, what he is he's a very good young goalkeeper who has he's trying to follow in Alisson's footsteps, which he's never going to be able to do. It's like saying, the right back that follows Trent isn't going to be as good. The centre back that follows Van Dijk isn't going to be as good. The right winger that follows Salah isn't going to be as good. So just give Mamardashvili a bit of leniency. And to be honest, even if he concedes a few goals against PSG, it's PSG and Liverpool playing crap. So just please give him some leniency. And I understand. I understand he's not great at kicking at the moment, but I don't think he's bad. So I, I'm very lenient with a lot of players. I'm very lenient with members of the squad, and he's definitely one that I'm going to be lenient with. And I do think he deserves that leniency. So yeah, and the other thing I want to mention with him, as long as the players don't pass to his right foot, because he's left-footed, obviously, things will be better. But, these players aren't exactly playing, with the greatest mental strength at this moment in time, which, you can understand because they've lost a lot. So it's kind of like, the phrase like, winning breeds winning, and losses breed losses. So yeah, maybe if they start well, maybe they'll get into the groove of things. But yeah, so obviously Mamardashvili is going to be a goal. And then at right back, Frimpong came on against Man City, and I don't know if he should have because basically Ronald Koeman said that he had to take him off against Ecuador during the international break. And he said that he did pick up an injury, but apparently Liverpool then dismissed it and said that he wasn't injured. But he's already picked up four muscle injuries this season, so I was very surprised to see him come off the bench against Man City. And I understand that maybe he needs a bit of sharpness because, the way Arne Slot trains his players, the match itself is the fitness builder, whereas for Jurgen Klopp and people like that, the match wasn't the thing that built fitness. You built fitness in the players, and then the match would be somewhat easier than the load that they'd be doing in the week. And obviously, it would depend on, how many games Liverpool play, because if you have loads of games, then you can't really build the the resilience in those little gaps. But yeah, Jeremy Frimpong, if Liverpool have a chance of, beating PSG, I don't want to see Joe Gomez at right back. I don't care because I understand that, away from home, you might want to get a decent result. But if Liverpool are just penned back for the entire game and have no intent to attack, Liverpool won't be able to do anything. So I would like to see Jeremy Frimpong at right back, but I think it's going to be Joe Gomez. I think he's going to play the three centre backs again. So we'll see whoever plays at right back. But I would like Frimpong because at least then we'd have someone who'd run in behind. Because PSG aren't that great defensively. In fairness, though, they do sacrifice some defensive, stability for how much they attack and their attacking output, which is admirable. And won them the Champions League last season, so you can't complain with it. But I would like Jeremy Frimpong at right back. So we'll see what Arne Slot does there. But I suspect it will be Joe Gomez. Centre back choice is very straightforward, especially if Joe Gomez plays at right back, because Konate and Van Dijk, whatever you think of them, they are our first two choice centre backs. And look, there's been a lot of talk about Virgil van Dijk after he gave away the penalty, which I think has been very unfair because one, he's 34 and he'll be 35 by the time next season starts. So obviously he's declined from where he was at his best. I I don't want to say he's untouchable now in terms of, the level he's at because I don't think he's at an untouchable level. But he's still at a very world-class level, and I do think he's still the best centre-back in the world because as much as he's made a few mistakes for Liverpool this season, he's had no help. The players next to him have, collapsed. I mean, Konate's form this season, we know. We don't really have to talk about it, but Konate's been so poor. He's been bedding in a new left back. Robertson, when he plays, has been decent then bad, decent then bad. So it's really difficult there. And in fact, he's had no midfield protection in front of him. The front line, pressing, it's been very bad. And he's just basically had to do more work than he's had to do in a Liverpool shirt in his entire career so far for us. And the fact that he's aging, he's going to make mistakes. But centre backs, when they do more work, make mistakes. It's like saying if you give a striker, you know, 50 shots, they're going to miss probably, I mean, maybe 40 of them. If you had a 10% conversion rate, 10%, if you had a 20% conversion rate, but yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. But the point is, if you give someone a higher volume of things, they're going to make more errors. So, a centre back that has to deal with 10 clearances across 3 games. they could deal with that perfectly fine. But a centre back that has to deal with maybe close to 30 clearances in 3 games, so 10 a game, maybe they have to do more, maybe they do 40, 50. It gets problematic. And when you ask Van Dijk at that age to do more and more and more and defend the halfway line, you're going to encounter issues. So, yeah. At left back, I really don't think it's not a debate. I think Kirk has been absolutely fine this season. The attacking output hasn't been there. But he's been very solid defensively, and maybe he can offer that outlet when we do get the ball. Maybe, Kirkers and Frimpong can be the outlets, but I would like to see Kirk as a left back, despite the fact I'm sure there'll be calls to put Andy Robertson in, and Robertson's crossing is significantly better than Kirkers is at this point. But I don't know, maybe you can work on that with some coaching. You're obviously not going to be able to work on that with coaching on Wednesday or before Wednesday. But I'd still rather Kirkers than Robertson, especially at this stage of the career. I mean, if you're talking about Robertson as peak, it would be no conversation again, but it is what it is. And then midfield is very interesting because Curtis Jones should be in. I don't care. You saw him sometimes he failed. There were a couple of occasions where he failed to track a runner, but he does track a runner more than Gravenberch. He does track a runner more than probably at this moment in time more than Dominic Szoboszlai, and definitely more than McAllister. So whoever you want in that double pivot, because we're going to play double pivot, whether we play 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, whatever formation, it'll be a double pivot. Curtis Jones has to be in that, and I don't know who I want to partner him, to be honest, because Gravenberch against Man City when we lost 4-0 was absolutely awful. And to be honest, he's been awful for most of the season. And it was really surprising that they gave him the new contract because as much as you can say that you want to tie him down, you want to tie him down because of his potential, because he did showcase, some of his strengths last season, it wasn't the time to be rewarding him with a 6-year contract. So, especially as now he's one of our highest paid players. But yeah, maybe. See, the thing is, Dominic Szoboszlai, I don't think you can trust him in a double pivot yet. And I think maybe against PSG he played Gravenberch. I think. I'm only saying that because you've seen that sometimes when Gravenberch plays against teams like Arsenal, really aggressive and really physical, he can carry the ball. And maybe because I'm assuming we're going to be defending for large periods against PSG, maybe he can carry the ball forward. But it's not ideal. It's really not ideal. And then look, the rest of the team, I don't think it's much of a debate either because I think Dominic Szoboszlai has to be in the team, and I think if Liverpool play the 4-2-2-2 formation with kind of like the two number 10s or the diamond midfield, then obviously Dominic Szoboszlai is one of the midfielders or he's one of the number 10s, and then Florian Wirtz, maybe on paper he's from the left, but he'll be one of the two number 10s in the team, and he has to be there. He just does. And then you're not going to start Chiesa and get ahead of either Salah or Ekitike. So it's going to be Salah and Ekitike. And I saw Salah come in for loads of criticism against Man City, and he absolutely deserved some. And you can say that he's declining because he is. Like, he's absolutely declining. But I do think so much of the reaction, like, imagine he didn't get the penalty, right? Imagine he didn't get the penalty. Imagine he didn't take the penalty. None of you will be criticizing him. Well, maybe you'd be criticizing him for the miss earlier, where he was basically through on goal. But again, no. If you want a volume attacker to score goals, you create loads of chances for them. He didn't have any chances. He had the chance where, Mamardashvili kicked it forward and just kicked it over the top of their defense. That's not a real chance. That's just a fortunate happening in a match, and he happened to miss, but it was also really good defending by Kuzunov. So, what can you do? Um, that said, I'm not defending his decline because he has absolutely declined, and if he's leaving at the end of the season, so I'm gonna be lenient with him. I'm not gonna be criticizing him like other people have. That's up to you, but. Personally, I wouldn't. And Ekitike to me, if Isak was fit, would probably be out of the team because Ekitike, what he's a moments player at the moment. Because what he'll do is he'll score a goal, but then for like most of the game, he kind of drifts in and out of it. And I'm not again using this to pick at him or to have a go at him specifically, but he's very weak in the challenge. He doesn't press properly at all. He doesn't link well with any of his teammates other than Florian Wirtz. And I've seen it described where his actions are designed to, get the best out of himself. And by that it's the dribble is it he'll dribble the ball into an area where he can receive the ball again and take a shot himself, or he won't lay off a pass to someone who might be in a better position, or he'll do things where he'll put himself in areas that are designed to get the most out of him. And some of the way that criticism has been framed is, I think, a little bit wrong. But at the same time, I do think it's fair to say that he Not that he plays for himself, but that he plays a game. He plays like an isolated game where he doesn't, his game isn't necessarily to the benefit of the team. That doesn't necessarily mean he's doing it, you know, in a way. He's not necessarily deliberately harming the team or anything like that, but he needs to know when to do certain actions more. He needs to be involved more. He needs to put himself about. And I know that sounds very simple as like a tactical breakdown, but it's true. It's true. We saw that against Man City. We've seen that earlier in the season too. So. But yeah, that would be my team. Mamardashvili, Jeremy Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk, Kerkez, Gravenberch and Jones are probably I mean, Gravenberch's the player that I'm least sure on, but I'd probably put him in the team. Then Dominik Szoboszlai, Florian Wirtz, Ekitike, and Salah. And hopefully Isak's ready for 20 minutes off the bench, but I don't think it'll make a difference because if I had to do a score prediction now, I'm being genuinely serious when I say 5-1 to PSG, and I'm not even sure we'll score a goal. So I think it's more likely that we'd lose 5-0 than we actually score a goal, even though PSG aren't great defensively. But you never know. Maybe we can repeat the thing where Harvey Elliott comes off the bench and Darwin Núñez comes off the bench, and they create the goal when we did the stash and grab last season. So maybe we can do that similarly. Maybe we Chiesa and Isak off the bench and they'll do something, but I highly doubt it. And look, if you're looking for positivity here, you're not going to find it, especially not this season. But maybe in the summer, maybe next season we'll have something more positive to talk about. But in the meantime, if you would subscribe, genuinely that helps me out so much. Let's get the algorithm going. Let's get those subscriptions flowing, and I'll see you on the next one.